now my pleasure to introduce you to our 74th Annual Achievement Night honoree, Jack Cavanaugh.
Prior to his accident, he was like any other 21-year-old. He was in college. He was very active in sports, and he was just a very easygoing young man. Jack fell. Jack fell about 12 feet from our loft in our home, in vacation home in the Poconos. And we received a call that night from his friend that said Jack had fallen. He just didn't seem right. And his friend had called for an ambulance. So we drove to St. Luke's, which is in Bethlehem, only to find out that Jack was not there. And that's when we found that Jack was medevaced. He was helicoptered to Geisinger Trauma Unit in Wilkes-Barre. When we got there, they put us off into a separate room, and we were first greeted by a priest. And we had thought Jack had passed away. A doctor then came in and told us that Jack had a serious head injury. Later, during that evening, one of the doctors came up to me and asked me if Jack was an organ donor. Jack was in an induced coma for about a month. And during that time, he was on life support. He was on a respirator. He was on a feeding tube. He had every machine around him. And we would just sit there and basically watch him. He was transported by ambulance. My wife accompanied them to Moss, and he was really in a semi-conscious state. You could not communicate with him either verbally or non-verbally. He literally looked like a rag doll in a wheelchair. At that time, he did not know who we were, and he did not know even who he was. And eventually, he started to come around, and that was even tougher, because then he started to realize where he was. And when it was even tougher for us to leave, and my wife would spend almost the entire day there. I couldn't. But when we would go to leave, we would actually start to tear up and cry.
Well, Jack did inpatient at Moss. Then he did some outpatient at Bryn Mawr Rehab. And when he was at Bryn Mawr, they told us about fighting back.
The more I came here, the more stable, my core got built up, I felt like.
And then you hit a big goal last year when you got to do a 5K, right?
Yeah. So
that was always one of our goals, was to get him back to running, basically, because he always ran cross country and track. And
in high school.
Yeah. And then when someone has that goal, they say, oh, I want to run again. It's, as a trainer, like, all right, we're going to do the best we can. And Jack put the work in between here and Bryn Mawr and Moss. He's really come a long way.
I think the Fighting Back program for Jack gave him a place where he felt like he fit in. He would come, and when he first came, he still had trouble walking, still had problems with his speech. He was still trying to figure a lot of the things out.
I think self-esteem is a big part of this, really. Not only the physical piece, but the self-esteem. And to be able to accept some of his limitations. By Jack connecting with Greg, he was a friend, and they had things in common. And Jack would talk, and the more Jack would talk, and they told him this, the more his speech would improve, his vocal cords would become stronger.
Right.
And he wouldn't be so self-conscious about talking.
Jack started out going back to school at Delaware County Community College. We put him in there with no pressure, and then he wound up graduating with honors. Then he moved on to Westchester. Because
he had such a high grade point average, he was contacted by a honors fraternity to see if he would rush, and then he was accepted. So that was a big self-esteem for him. And I guess August of last year, Jack got his license back. And again, that was the independence, the self-esteem. He volunteers at Moss Rehab. He goes there every Friday and he would tell them his story.
I go and I visit the nurses in my old brain injury ward, and I just ask them is there anyone that really needs hope or to be talked to? So then I talk to parents or people going through it and just tell them my story. I was I was exactly where you are 4.5 years ago. You see that door right across from the nurse's station? Yeah, that was my room.
As parents, you're kind of a social worker, a therapist, you're a cheerleader. You have to know when to push in and when to step back a little bit. So that was a big thing for us, and even for us to convince ourselves that this was progress and that we could see the progress.
I think Scott came up to me my first day. He's we're so open. We're nicknamed the Cheers of rehab facilities, and I know it sounds corny, but it's kinda true. I talk to so many people here and they come up and talk to me, and there's no judgment whatsoever. Wow, this is unexpected. I would firstly like to thank the Fighting Back Board of Directors and everyone who nominated me for this award, in particular Bill Orr and Scott Dillman. I mean, this is sort of terrifying for me because my one biggest fear is public speaking, and right behind that is being the center of attention. So tonight I get when I first learned I was going to Fighting Back and I'd be getting a personal trainer, I just thought, okay, I have to be a normal dude or a girl. Then I met Greg. And I mean, I couldn't have handpicked a better trainer or a friend. I hope it's okay I publicly announce for friends. Even if I am from But Greg was much more than a trainer to me. He was a listener, a motivator, a mentor, and so much more. I would like to publicly thank the people that helped me the most. My parents. Dad, I love you, but you would even say, Jackie, your mother loves you so much more and does everything I can do for you. So, Mom, please fries. Do it. As well as the love and support from my family, countless aunts and uncles and cousins. You all stood behind me in my time of need, as well as support I received from my friends. I have a vast number of friends from all parts of my life, and particularly Vince and Bri, who I knew since grade school. Maybe you guys tried to stop hanging out with me and I just never got the memo. I was fortunate enough to attend two of the best rehab hospitals, Moss Rehab and Brett Mar Rehab, where I met some of the best therapists, nurses, doctors, and aides. I would like to thank my doctors, and particularly Dr. Watanabe, Dr. Mayer, and as well as my therapist, like Carolyn. You taught me how to walk again with the help of Seamus. And Alan, enough said. As well as the therapist I encountered at Brevmar Rehab. Kate, you're really the reason I'm back in school right now. And Janine, you helped me learn skills I would need to live on my own eventually. And Mark, you strengthened my core and other muscles that helped me walk even better. I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, and everyone I encounter in my life I do for a reason. As I look out in the crowd, it's a lot of friends, a lot of therapists, a lot of doctors. So I would just like to say thank you for impacting my life. This award is as much mine as it is yours. I wouldn't be here without your time and patience. So thank you.